Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast, Adventures of the Awakened Heart. My name is Julie Tara, and you can learn more about me in the links below. And the reason for this podcast is I really felt called. I feel like this time in our lives is a real request from the universe to come more and more into our heart, awaken our heart, and bring it forth into the world. And today I'm very thrilled to interview a beautiful friend of mine, a Gaia ambassador, Anișoara. And let me tell you a little bit about Anișoara before we get started. Anișoara Cismașu is an adventurer into the life mysteries, a dedicated explorer of consciousness and the inner realms. She has traveled the world to meet mystics and teachers that she has felt really called to, enjoying meeting and learning from people that embody a deeper truth and a purer love. Anișoara has trained in many different esoteric traditions, including Kriya Yoga, Vipassana Meditation, and the Gene Keys. Right now, she's attending the Resilient Heart, a HeartMath Certification Program. She loves to be in connection with people and offers her expertise as a transformational teacher, divine alignment therapist, and Gene Keys ambassador. I'm going to put links below to Anișoara's work. And let me tell you, she has studied a lot of things. So this is just a little sampling of all the things she knows about and teaches about in her work. So I'm really delighted to have you with us, Anișoara. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Romania on Zoom. What a magical universe we live in. How are you today?
Thank you so much for inviting me, Julie. I am so happy to be here and have this conversation with you. I feel honored and very happy to be here.
Wonderful. You and I have talked many times because you're a Gaia ambassador and this is how we met. And you've done such beautiful work with that, along with everything else you do. I have been extremely touched by the connection with you. And you also did a Gene Keys reading for me that was absolutely amazing. So I want to recommend that everyone get a chance to do that with you. You really know your stuff.
Thank you. It's one of my deeper passion and something that is coming more and more alive within myself. And it's something that I do with so much joy. Thank you.
Yes, I have my notes and I often refer to them. And by the way, happy birthday for 3 days ago, April 3rd. I was excited to see that. I'm sorry I missed it on the day, but I hope you had a beautiful birthday.
Thank you. Yes, it was. I spent it with some friends, and one of my friends' birthday, it's one day prior to mine, and we had very lovely time together.
Oh, I love that. I love to hear that. I think we should celebrate every day, and birthdays especially, because that's your special day. So it's a good time. And I told you my best friend in England, she has the same birthday as you. And then I have 2 children and a grandson, all birthdays right at that time. So it's been a busy birthday time and it makes me happy. We have spring and coming out of lockdown, and it feels good to come into the springtime and see all those flowers.
Yes.
Yes. So let's talk a little about Gaia. First of all, you're part of the Gaia community, and I'd love to ask you, what has been the most impactful aspect of Gaia for you on your journey?
But for me, which I am in a way a community person, a people person, I like to belong somewhere, to find people to resonate with. And for me, Gaia, it is a place like this, where I can find open-minded people, and I can find people I can resonate with at a higher level, like open-hearted, open-minded, They are sharing their experience. They are sharing other people's experience by doing interviews or documentaries. And I feel I learn from them. I see different perspective and different connection with the mysteries of life. They bring me new ideas and new ways of interpreting reality. And very often I find clarity and deeper understanding. So I like very much these places where I can search and find so many treasures. I treasure this kind of treasures.
You and I are so similar that way. Just everything you just said, I was like, oh yes, I feel that too. I feel that too with Gaia. And all the exploration of this sort of university of the soul, it's so exciting. But I would say for me, like the greatest thing is that sense of belonging that you spoke about, that there are other people that are as enthused and excited and curious and heart-centered. I find that very rewarding.
Yes, I find out in my searching and exploration of life and for finding my true self, that is very important to have a sense of who I am, but in the same time that I belong together with other being in something that is bigger than ourselves, like something bigger and beautiful. It's holding us together. And I like to find this kind of places where I can feel something is uniting me with those people, because we can find so many places that are dividing us. So searching and finding people and places where you can find unity, I think it's important. At least for me, it's very important.
You couldn't have said it better. I think it is a time of great divisiveness in our world, divisiveness of the way we think and feel about what's happening. And so, yes, I think it's exactly as you say, to find people and find that unity, that union. It's really critical for us to find home at this time within ourselves and also without. So let's talk about your spiritual journey. Like, when do you feel that you started this journey? When was the beginning of your awakening?
I think looking back, I think I had a kind of inner openness since always. I had questions and way of seeing things different than the people around me, but like a conscious choice, like stepping consciously to find deeper answer about yourself and about life. For me, it started somewhere in 2005, so like 16 years ago.
You know, you always strike me as a very awakened, wise soul. And I would go to say like an old soul, but don't misinterpret that expression. But, you know, really like someone who has been here many times and has a lot of wisdom to bring. So I feel for me, you embody a lot of the divine feminine and also the awakened heart. So let's talk about the awakened heart. What does that mean to you, that term?
For me, an awakened heart is that heart that is able to remain open and feel everything without losing the emanation of love. An awakened heart can accept, can embrace, can contain, and can transmute the flow of life in every moment. For me, it's representing that dimension of being where all the aspects of one experience are united, are unified. a point of reflection in this reality of a higher reality, something like that. I see the awakened heart in many ways and many dimensions, but I try to explain in few words.
It was very powerful what you just said, and my experience when you said it is I just felt this very peaceful quietness come about. I don't know how to explain other than that the words that they rang through like a very smooth stream of water coming in.
Thank you. It came from a deeper place within myself. I ask myself what this word, awakened heart, this expression means to me. And the deepest truth I found in what I just said, it's about that dimension that unifies. And the heart, this is the role of the heart, I feel, to hold things together, to unify them.
You know, I have to say, we had a big tragedy here in Boulder just 2 weeks ago, and so there was a lot of ripple and upset and tragedy, and so I wrote a poem with my friend who wrote the music, and we put it out there, and it's exactly what I was feeling was, how can I bring a sense of unity to this tragedy, a bigger perspective on the entire thing, which was challenging, but I was so in grief myself. I was like, I need to create something that is really spilling out from my heart. And so that's what we did. And once it was done, I could really weep, but also move forward with this sense of union within all of that shock of what had happened.
Yes, it's very sad that things like that are happening, and only we can look at them, if possible, with compassion and understand that only somebody in deep pain can do something like this, and a heart that is feeling love and a human heart, a truly human heart, will never do something like this to another human being. And it's very sad that these kind of things are happening, and maybe they are happening for us to deeper look at our own pain and healing the pain within ourselves, bringing more light into the world. And in order these kind of things not to happen in the future.
Precisely. I think that's a great lesson in all of that, and it breaks everyone's heart open. And you're so right that we have to really look then at our own brokenness so we can heal and bring forward the truth of our love, our light, which is so magnificent. The human heart, the light that we bring, it's extraordinary how we can heal our world this way. Let's talk about your life, and maybe do you have a story or maybe two, whatever, that you can share about maybe an experience where your heart just opened up in a whole new way?
I have a lot of stories and experiences, but I will try to express one or two of them. I understood in time that they are all connected somehow, and that I can't understand everything in the beginning. And it took me time to see the story that is behind my experiences, what I came into this world to heal. Gene keys, they are supporting me a lot in this understanding. According with the gene keys, my core wound is connected with conflict, and conflict can see and can be in so different ways and can have so many aspects. And this experience I want to share happened somewhere in 2009, I think, to a Flower of Life workshop. I was organizing Flower of Life workshop with the Flower of Life facilitator. And during one of these workshops, one of the rituals done in the workshop, quite at the beginning, it was something called the heart dance. And during this heart dance, two circles were formed, an inner circle and an outer circle. And the outer circle was moving from person to person along the inner circle. And we were connecting at the level of the heart and looking eyes to eyes. And being in this ritual at some point, looking in the eyes of a person, a huge pain opened up in my heart. I became aware of something that happened into another life, not in this one. I don't know exactly when, and I don't think it is so important. I saw something, a story, like a movie. I saw myself and my sister very happy, playing next to a water, dressed with white dresses, and I felt the love between us. So much love it was between us. This was a phase of the story. And the other phase of the story, I could see that at some point my sister ran away into the world with my lover. And the pain of that happening, it was so powerful, so huge pain opened up in my heart that it was so difficult for me to hold it. And it took me years to understand it, to accept it, to transforming. It's very easy to speak about the awakening of the heart, looking at the bright side of the story, looking on discovering the light or the higher self or the beauty. But in my understanding and in my experience, I had to become aware of both sides of life. The huge pain that I hold in the past of my consciousness, and the huge light that I have as a being, that I am as a being. And it was difficult on one side to hold the pain, to accept it, to make peace with it, to make peace with people involved in those stories. And on the other side, it was difficult to accept my own light. It was difficult to accept my spiritual experiences. I had huge spiritual experiences. I could see myself in huge light and capacity, but I didn't dare to speak about. The dogma of religion I was raised in made me feel fearful. I feared people will judge me, will not understand me. And I felt like I'm not allowed to say these things about myself. And it was a long journey of accepting the beauty of life and the ugliness of life. I had to learn to step on the middle path and bring them together, fusion them, and out of this fusion, build in a way my inner path, my ascension path within my heart, bring my heart into unity, bring my heart into a deeper and bigger coherence with my mind. And it was not easy, but looking back, I'm grateful for this process. I feel more complete now. I feel more stable within myself and more capable of holding space for people in suffering, because you can't really hold the space for other people if you don't live like people who does not live their own process deep within and transform the pain. They are not able to stay face to face with other people's pain. And I can't say that I transform everything. I'm still in this process of transmuting pain, but I am long way from where I was, and I feel more, how to say, entitled to recognize, to accept my light too, to acknowledge that I am a being of light too, and feel that I have the right to say this and see myself as a light being.
And you absolutely are. That's a very powerful story. And I have to tell you the synchronicity of actually last night, I was remembering a friend of mine telling me the story just of what you described, but in this life. And I was remembering it. We sat under a big tree and she told me the story of how her sister was having an affair with her husband for a long time and she didn't know about it, and then found. And I remember sitting there just holding space. That's exactly what I remember, just holding this space for her. And something happens very healing in that time where we sat under this big tree by the lake. And it's just interesting. I was thinking about it last night, going how difficult that must have been for her, that level of betrayal. So it's interesting. It's a story you bring up today. And of course, this happened several years ago, but it was in my consciousness last night as I was washing dishes and thinking about it, going, wow, that's a big transgression. I love what you say about bringing the unity, like bringing these opposites, the pain and the love, and bringing it all in through the heart. It's like an alchemical process, really.
Yes.
And you can feel when somebody has done that work. It's so interesting. You just know when someone has done that work because they can sit and hold space in a way that perhaps another couldn't. So thank you for sharing that. It's a beautiful, poignant story. Is there any other story you would like to share? Perhaps one from this lifetime? I mean, not that happened in this lifetime, I understand, but it was also memory.
Yes. I think this story, in a way, is part of my core wound. Like it's something that is coming from way back from my soul, from the other experiences of my soul. And I had to understand that this conflict of my core wound is both with women and with men. And I had to find ways to love women and trust women, and love men and trust men again. So in a way, I think sometimes the things we come to do in our lives, they are not easy. They are quite difficult for some people. Maybe we choose it or maybe not, I don't know. But I can't say I had an easy life and it was not easy to understand all of this. But now I feel grateful for all the life I had, because I feel I could not hold the understanding and the wisdom that I can hold right now without all this struggle that I had in my past. One of the deepest experiences I had was during a Vipassana retreat. Sitting in meditation, I think on the 5th day of the meditation, suddenly I became aware of all kinds of thoughts and conversations that were happening at different level, but in the invisible world. Like I could hear people talking that in the space I was in, nobody was talking. It was a silent retreat. Then I could hear like meaningless mutterings, like from animals or not human beings in the same times. An invisible reality I could hear. My hearing ability expanded in a very huge way. And I was a little bit shocked in the beginning because I had no idea what is happening. And as I began to hear this, let's say, conversation from an invisible world, I became aware of the silent being that I was. I was silent. I was like a huge being, the way I perceived myself, doing nothing, just being. And all those thoughts, all those conversations, all those feelings were moving and existing somewhere around myself, but outside myself. They didn't belong to me, they are not mine. There was no connection between me and them. And I also felt like all this surrounding reality has no power over who I am if I don't interact with this reality, if I'm not interested in those thoughts, in those feelings. It was very interesting to perceive who I am like this, just being silent, silence itself in a way. I didn't want to do anything. I was not interested in anything. I was just there, being. This was one of the most awakening moments for me, because I could not be the same after this. In the break, when we went outside and I was sitting in nature, I was feeling literally earthquakes below my feet. It was like the earth was having earthquakes but they were happening just for me. I was looking around to see if other people feel what I feel. For me, the earth was shaking and energy was moving inside my body from below my feet up to my root. And I had so vivid experiences during the night. I perceived beings of light coming and touch my forehead with a kind of rod of light and opening my head and energy moving. It was something out of this world in a way, and I think it changed my life forever.
I'm sure that it did. That's an incredible story because you had a full experience of the silent witness that is spoken
Yes.
about by all the mystics throughout time and space. I think that's absolutely extraordinary because now it gave you your own ground of being that you can always, that's like home, you know, that you can always come to and come from. In the world, this must have changed radically your way of being in the world, I would imagine, and the way others perceived you as well.
Yes, I can't say I remain in that, let's say, centering of being. My mind was not prepared to accept or to understand. My mind was not mature enough or wise enough to integrate, to fully integrate that experience. And it may happen to other people too. Maybe some can integrate more fully this kind of experience when they experience it. I was not prepared for it. And I needed time and years of contemplation or having different kind of other experiences in order to be able to, for my mind to clear itself from some patterns, from some negative thinking in a way. And be more centered into this being and silence of being. I can feel it more now. So I feel more grounded now in the space of my being than I was after that. I remember for days and maybe months, I had moments of solitude where I could feel I could not speak with anybody. I needed to stay by myself and remember and contemplate and try to make sense of all those things that happened to me. Then the clearing and the changing that are happening within the body, somebody can go crazy with all this. The purification of the body and the things that are happening within the body after an experience like this, I thought I would go crazy with them. But I was, in a way, supported by the universe, by the invisible reality in a way. I met a man few years before this experience, somewhere in Italy, to another, while I was attending another retreat. And that man was explaining me one evening about different phases of the awakening. And I was very fortunate to hear from here about this purification and all kinds of things that are happening with the body, within the body. And if I had not have that conversation prior to this experience, I think it would have been much more difficult for me to handle the consequences of it. But
Yes,
in the end, yeah.
I would imagine just because the mind thinks it's going to die and it's the
Yes.
ego doesn't want to die. It's like anything but that, right? So yeah, this depth of the silent witness is a very, very powerful experience. And I do think we get glimpses, like it's like the doors of perception open, the veils open, and we can, you know, fall into this incredible state of grace, really. But then, you know, the mind's going to come right back in like, no way, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to let you do this. It's really a inner battle and can make people feel crazy. I think it's exciting now that we have so much awakening happening, that more and more validity is being given to these experiences. And actually this takes me to my next question around the awakened heart in the world. What do you feel is happening in our world right now around this subject matter, shall we say, of true being, the awakened heart?
I think the human being is awakening, and I don't mean the person, but I mean the human being as one being containing all the people in it. And in this process of awakening, of this collective being in a way, but it is a being, it's a huge being. But there is a process of integrating the shadow. So it is needed because under the shadow, there are gifts, there is light, there is so much wisdom and treasure hidden within the shadow. And these provocative, these challenging times, for me, they are a testing time. Like, are we able to stand in our own guidance, listen to our hearts? Don't let fear guide us. Are we able to look fear into the face and able to discern illusion from truth? It's not easy, I know, but I think this is the test. It's a huge clearing taking place at the level of the humanity as a collective being. There is an opening of deeper portals, like that apocalypse of Swan is something that it's an initiatory process which imply the opening of the energetic centers. And when these centers are opening, like I was telling from my own experience, that I was feeling that the earth is having earthquakes below my feet. Something like this is happening. Things are shaken because a different kind of energy is starting to flow upwards through the human bodies, to the human structures, the collective structures, the business structures, the family structures, the communities structures, changing them. So a lot of things will have to adapt and change to be in harmony with the new frequency of Earth, with the new kind of energy, with love, with purity of intention, relationship between humans, family, relationship woman to man, the space in which children are to be raised in the future, they has to go through some mutations, skin-based changes, adaptation, because they are not functioning in harmony right now. And a more soft, delicate, loving energy is coming to be embodied on earth, and is coming to influence relationship between peoples and building different kind of communities. This will happen maybe in the next 400 of years. So it's not something that will happen overnight. But the movement, the way I understand it, it is connected with this, with bring more equality, equanimity between masculine and feminine energies and relationships, and more, and no, not more, less interference with the process of growth of the children. Children are coming with a very pure energy in their heart, especially starting with the year of 2027. And they need their space and to be in their own aura for the codes within their own body to open at a specific time, and for them to grow as more harmonious human beings. This is happening, and every time a pure and higher energy is coming to be embodied on earth, a more denser one, a more dark one will come to the surface too. So we have to find ways to integrate and stay in the middle.
It's a very profound message that you're bringing. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's this whole idea of the new earth being born and the shadow rising to be transmuted along with the beauty of this delicate, loving energy that you describe. I know you have the swan as one of your emblems, and the swan has always been one of my emblems as well, one of my spirit animals. And I always feel like that grace and elegance and the whiteness of the swan, you know, with that little bit of orange. It's such a perfect, for me, example of this grace that's coming. And, you know, the swan always looks very peaceful, but, you know, as it's on the river, it's also paddling hard underneath. So there's this, you know, combination of the difficulty and the challenge with the grace and the beauty. So I think you put it fabulously. And so I would like to ask you, as sort of my final question, is in all that you've said today, and it's so moving to me, what you have spoken about and the vibration with which you speak. What could you give us, like one golden nugget for our listeners today? What could they do today, or what's the one thing they could feel or choose today that would help them on their path?
I think these times that we are living right now are asking us to make a choice. So this choice depends on every soul, on everybody. Everyone is that important for the whole. So don't let other people make you believe you have no power. Make your choice within your heart and stick with it. Choose love and do whatever you can to hold that love within your heart. and treasure it. Hold it in order to grow and expand and radiate, for you to become an embodiment of love. And when you emanate love, love cannot see something else. Love always will see just love. So if we choose love in our heart and we try to make a conscious effort to search and find love in other people, to see when it's difficult to see it, just to ask where I can see love in here, a little bit of love, then love will grow, and one day we will see only love.
Anișoara, that is absolutely a beautiful message. I couldn't agree more. It's so much what I feel right now is that's what's being asked of all of us. Thank you so much for being with me today. This has been just a fantastic time with you, and such a treasured time. And I feel so honored every time we speak to be with you and in your presence. And to all who are listening, please listen to this a few times, because there's a lot of great wisdom in this interview. And I hope you join our Gaia community. I will put a link below for that. So please join us and become an ambassador of Gaia if you would like to, along with Anișoara and myself and many others. And I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, all of you who are listening. And thank you again, Anișoara, for your beauty, your love, your radiant heart. It's just a complete pleasure to know you. You're one of my favorite people on this entire planet at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. I feel so honored to have this connection with you and to feel seen in this way by you. I feel it deeply in my heart, and I feel so deeply honored. Thank you. And as I said before, you see the beauty in me because you see with the beauty in you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my friend. Many, many blessings. And to all of you listening, many blessings. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.